Hello everybody and welcome back to the Alienware Awesome Cup 2 for European Qualifier number 5. My name is Oz, fighting crime by day and casting awesome knots by midday, I would assume. And I'm here with my good friend and co-caster as always, Nada.
Thank you, Oz. I'm Nada, and I don't fight crime, I just play video games. But that does leave me in the position to give you guys strategies, build orders, and all things related to knots and how you do things in there. Speaking of knots matches, we have got a bunch of competitive games for you guys. We are featuring the following teams here. We have SWAT, Ninjas with Attitude, 99 Cents, Boss, BBQ, and Shoko, Tan fighting off today. So get hyped for that.
But before we get into those matches, let's just take a quick look at the standings for the teams coming into today's matches using our new point-based system for the Alienware Awesome Cup 2. That being said, we're looking at these standings of the top 10 teams. We're going to see Boom taking the lead with a whopping 135 points, followed by Spade and his incredible team, followed by the Ninjas with Attitude, Akio, Ion, and we have sort of a running tie, or I shouldn't say running tie, but a very close point differential between the bottom 5 teams, that being the Three-Headed Monkeys, 99 Cents, Gelati, Barbecue, and Notorious Knots. Now, we've seen a lot of these teams before. We know that Boom is currently leading. They are a Brazilian team, and they are currently in the lead for the Alienware Awesome Cup 2. But Spade and his team are looking to close that gap with 88 points. They're going to be second in there. We see a bunch of these teams that we've seen before in the previous Alienware Cup, but we're also seeing a bunch of these newer teams that we haven't seen before. I really haven't heard of Gelati up until the Alienware Awesome Cup 2, and they are really progressing forward. They are going to be in the top 10, and if they continue at the rate they're going to be able to qualify for the grand finals and compete for first, second, third, fourth, and top 5, basically. But that being said, Nada, let's get into our first match of the day. What is going to be our first match of the day for today?
Well, we got none other than SWAT facing off the Ninjas with Attitude. So I am so excited. So I want to go over the bans and picks here. So looking at the bans and picks, we have the first pick coming out for SWAT, so they get to ban as well. And that is a Nibs ban. That ban is countered by a Clunk ban from Ninjas with Attitude. Then SWAT picks up a Ted. A Ted on Ribbit is a really good pick, so that's that makes sense. Really good sense. You get that mid control from that Ted picks already. SWAT has a really good first pick. I mean, that's for the team, and you already have a map-based pick. To counter that up, though, Ninjas with Attitude, they're going for a Scoop Froggy double pick here. So you're really gonna get that flush down middle, kind of like Ted does with the airstrike, but you can throw that hammer down there, and with the frog roaming around the jungle, you're gonna have a hard time actually lane switching. Now, SWAT gets the next double pick, and that is going to be a Raylan and a Coco. And Raylan Coco is a really good combo. We have that long range poke, high burst, as well as you have the Rift to lock down mid, or bottom mid, sorry, as well as Coco's Blaze, which is going to be really good against the frog. Now the last pick coming out from Ninjas with Attitude is going to be Vinny and Spike. So you get that Silence Cloud in. It is a bit difficult to move around on this map with Vinny and Spike, so they're going to have to be careful, but I think it works out fine.
That being said, Nada, as you said before, we've seen these two teams face off before in previous qualifiers, and I think we're going to see a great match ahead of us. It is going to be on Ribbit, and as you said, these map picks are going to be very important once we get into these mid stages of the game. That being said, let's get started with our first match of the day. Give us a countdown, Nada.
You got it. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, so first pickups from the shop is going to be base abilities and most likely range from Ted. Everyone else opting for base abilities. It seems Vinny getting boots, however, so fairly usual picks here. Alright, so mid control here. I think we've been over this a bunch.
We're seeing a little bit of engage right now. Shawl's going to get taken for a lot of damage as Chris Moon is going to get balled back. Chris Moon is going to be the first pickup kill of this game by Faderheck, as he is going to be the pickup at 45 seconds into the game. First kill going to the SWAT, actually. Nice airstrike coming in through Jess right there, as we're going to see Jess try and thwart off this top lane from Shral and Faderheck.
Yeah, that's quick kills on Ribbit. I think usually Ribbit is the one map where you get kills the fastest. I mean, you just have such a great opportunity for a first collapse here, and it's also one of the maps that actually it does matter to get those first picks, first pickups here, because when you get the mid area, you have so much control, and both teams have mid control minded characters. So I'd say get the mid, especially the mid bottom lockdown.
And actually, we're going to see a huge fight going on here as Kelvin is going to be taking a lot of damage. Chris Moon taking the sniper over there, but Coco also took a lot of damage as he is going to be forced to teleport back. Kestrel and Shaw both on this bottom lane defending. This is not a situation they want to be in where they have that top lane push, but Coco quickly gets up there and realizes that.
Both teams actually are running the same kind of comp. They both have this poke and long range.
Oh, and a nice snipe coming up from Shaw up there, picking up Jess off the bouncer. That airstrike is going to allow that kind of zoning for Shaw to escape, though.
And provide that poke I was talking about earlier. I mean, both Ray, Coco, and Ted has amazing poke. Same goes for Scoop and Vinny, as well as Frog in the early games, where Frog is going to translate over to more of a burst finisher in the end stages of the game here. But in the beginning, Frog wants to be doing as much damage as possible just by, you know, floating around the mid area, getting those dashes in, maybe a couple NATO ticks, and then get out again until he can stack up sufficient damage to take out people on his own.
Now, we've seen a few different Vinny builds at this point in Awesome Knots, and how do you feel about the burst heavy, very early build coming out from this Vinny, immediately going for the solar tags of 150, but also be able to pick up that extra 500 damage off of the base 350?
Well, that is it's a very it's actually a pretty common strategy, and people mostly piggy into it just to get that really early burst, because you're essentially going to deliver a clunk burst with minutes and with seconds notice. I mean, it is going to be so quick, and it's going to be so brutal. You don't want to have that.
Actually, see Chris Moon right here getting hit for a lot of damage as Shaw and Federheck look for the pickup on that. Nothing, unfortunately, going to come out for them, as we're going to see the Ninjas with attitude reset here and try to make something happen in this midsection. They do need to retake it.
Yeah, they do need to take that mid. And something I'm really worried about is Vinny and his Silence Cloud, because as soon as Vinny get that thing going, he's going to be able to lock down the entire mid bouncer, cancel out any bounce snipes, as well as you know, just locking down the general mobility around the map.
And we've actually seen them retake mid-control here as the Ninjas with attitude just fought it out into that midsection. Shaw getting his health back, though, and he could be in a potentially kill setup situation, looking for Kelvin on that, but Kelvin is going to be able to escape, just narrowly picking up that mid-creep, picking up the extra health. But we're going to see Shaw look for this top lane, more clearing going on from SWAT at this point, and we're going to see them try and progress to these first two turrets very soon. Builds are kind of early on at this point, but we've seen Vinny go straight to the focus for his dash. Chris Moon is actually going to be battling around Kestrel on bottom, as Chris Moon is going to continue clearing now. Interestingly enough, Mutant Worms coming out very early.
Well, I've seen that before, and it does provide a lot of damage after your abilities. It is I believe 108, well, no, 112, 20 damage. Sorry, for your next AA hit. It's gonna, you know, add up with your base AA, so that's gonna give those 180.
We're actually gonna see a huge engagement going on right now as Shaw is gonna be forced to escape. A nice ball coming out up top, hitting Kelvin on the bottom. Shaw and Chris Moon on bottom, duking it out, trying to get these clears as well as do some damage to each other and put those pokes in. A missed hammer from Jess is not going to set anything up, and the airstrike is gonna allow for some zoning. Shaw looking for the snipe, just narrowly missing it on Jess, coming up the bouncer right there. But we're gonna see Shaw kind of progressing to that mid. A nice airstrike hit coming out, and is going to hit Jess. Excellent placement by Kestrel on that. Shaw's going to be duking it out. Kelvin and Chris Moon looking to pick up the kill right now. That's a lot of burst coming out. That is going to be a pickup on Shaw as Kelvin picks up that kill.
Wow, that was a really good collapse there. Love it. Something that you were talking about the Ninja Worms earlier, sorry, and I actually think it's a pretty good pickup for this comp they got going here. It is without doubt the fastest way, I think, to get more damage for one of the fastest ways to get more damage in terms of burst at least, in on your opponents. And if you're just doing the poking game, you just want to go through people, you want to shoot some AAs, it's really, really good. Because Frog doesn't want to commit too much, especially not versus a Coco in these early stages of the games, and it's not gonna get any better in the later stages where Coco will be getting more blaze damage and potentially slow. So Frog wants to be able to get out quickly and not have to rely on, you know, canceling out his mobility by hitting out those hammer pants.
Now I do have one quick question for you. As far as the engagement goes on Team SWAT, who has to engage first for them to really set up kills?
Well, Coco is obviously the first pick for initiation, but you can actually, with a Ray, you can set up a really good initiation on the bottom lane just by placing up a rift or, you know, providing that snipe, making sure you set up a situation where going in does not require initiation, so to speak. You set up a situation rather than initiate a battle, if you get where I'm going with this.
No, I understand and I agree completely. So that Coco or Ray really needs to kind of get into the fray and set up kills in regards to either engaging or using the time rift as a way for an engagement.
Yep, that is true. And Coco actually is building knockback balls, so we are going to be seeing some initiations. I hope we're going to see Scoop come flying a lot because he is the biggest character and he is the easiest to fly around with. Vinny and Frog, they're going to be a bit difficult to actually hit, and they both have that dash to get out of the tricky situations that knockback ball does provide. So I definitely think that that Scoop is the main target for the knockback ball. Actually picking up a solar boss there, very good choice here on this
look
map.
at that bottom lane right now. That bottom lane is getting put to good use right now. As you see an engagement coming out right now, Kelvin and Jess trying to set something up on Kestrel, but unfortunately not able to make anything out of that, as he will take that jumper up and quickly get out. Shaw and Federheck there for the release on him, so he will be able to escape with very minimal damage taken. But I really want to see a huge fight go on right now. They're in such a good team setup for a huge fight to happen in mid, and Shaw can come up at any given time with that snipe and really kind of secure a kill or start the engagement with it. But a huge fight going on, as I said I wanted before, as Shaw's going to take a huge chunk of damage out, and he's going to be forced to get back, as Jess is going to progress into that midsection along with Kelvin, try and just wreak havoc into that midsection. Kestrel looking to pick up some extra shoddy damage, unfortunately not able to make anything out of it, as he will go back to his laning in the bottom lane. Putting Ted on the bottom lane in this map is such a strong just strategy. He can get those airstrikes up.
That's true, and you know you want to keep Ted there because not only can you get the pokes through at the mid, but you can essentially clear 2 lanes by staying on bottom, getting those airstrikes in, landing it on both droid waves, and you're gonna be golden. You're gonna have so much droid damage done. It's gonna help your droids fight off the enemy droids, and thus pushing the lanes. Really a good strategy, and you want to keep Ted at bottom at all costs.
We're going to see Chris Moon engage right now with Kestrel. Chris Moon picking up that extra health, and in comes Jess trying to secure something, but unable to make anything of it. Getting hit with an airstrike into that midsection as he's looking to help out. Kelvin's just going to get hit with that blaze up the rift, or excuse me, up the jumper, but takes a 550 snipe off the edge. Another airstrike coming in from Ted in effort to clear that up. Nothing going to come out of that, though. Chris Moon is going to be going back right now, hopefully picking up some upgrades. He's got around 180 solar, so he's going to actually pick up boots right now. Hasn't picked up much. Actually, he does have hammer pins.
Yeah, he does. That's Frog 101. You get the hammer pants and you kill everything, and they know this. What I want to point out, though, is the Frog and Ted matchup, because Frog and Ted...
Kestrel's going to get a lot of damage taken on him right now, as Jess and Chris Moon looking in for that kill. The ball, a little bit too late, is going to not pick up Jess or knock him back into the turret, and that is going to be a missed kill coming out on SWAT right there. That ball was just a second too late. That could have knocked him back into the turret, but as we saw there, it did happen to miss.
That happens, and there's a couple of ways Coco can actually... Oh, wow.
And a huge chunk coming out on Shal there, as he looks a little stunned as he tries to teleport back and just says, you know what? Maybe I'll take the stairs back.
Yes. That, about the ball here, there's a couple of ways you can go about not landing your balls. You can get the blaze ball for that slow blaze, and, you know, if you tag people with the ball, they will be slowed a bit, and From there, you can get that knockback in, or you can go for the speedball build, a more ganky, out-of-nowhere ball that will allow you to hit a ball from a longer distance with a faster movement speed. And that can actually work very well against these faster knots. But in my opinion, I'd like to see Coco pick up the Blaze Ball in order to land more and do more damage. And that's actually what's going on. I'm so proud. Both Chuck's board and the Blaze Ball. That's a good combo. It does a lot of damage, adds on top of the basic ball damage, as well as provide for more droid clearing power. So it is a win, 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 and win upgrade in that order.
And now we're seeing this engagement right now. Jess is going to be knocked back to SWAT's side, but Chris Moon right there for it, and they're going to be focusing Shaw again. Shaw taking a lot of damage. The miss spike that by Vinny is going to allow Shaw to escape, and we're just back to this clearing phase that we've seen earlier on. But I just want to talk a little bit more about this. But before we do that, a huge battle going on right now. And as I wanted to talk about Ted, he's going to get picked up. Vader Heck looking to pick up a kill in return. He's going to pick up Kelvin. And now Jess is going to be on the run from both of them. The ball is going to be just off cooldown in a second. But Chris Moon able to be just annoying enough to thwart off Vader Heck and Shaw.
Oh, wow. You were going on about Ted, and I think that's fair. That's fair you do that, because Ted has a hard time against this matchup, I'd say.
Extremely. I'm a Ted main, and seeing a Ted like this, he is going to be struggling a little bit with this burst. Ted is one of those characters that if you are surrounded by the entirety of the enemy team, there's a very good chance you're going to be dying, and that's just solely due to the fact that he is a bigger character. His hitbox is a bit quote-unquote clunky. So he can get a lot of damage on him in a very short amount of time, and if you can focus that Ted out, because Ted is a very 1v1 brawlish type character. So him being able to stay into a fight and just provide support with his AA and really do damage over time is what I'm going to call it, but it's not. But he's one of those characters where before you even realize that half your HP bar is gone, and you're just questioning what happened. And Ted McPain happened.
Oh, yes. Well, I'm especially thinking of the potential threat of Frog getting Arbe. Speaking of, he just got Arbe. Now, Arbe is going to render Ted in a really, really bad spot. Now, Frog can basically ward off any sort of damage that Ted may or may not want to deal.
And you saw right there, look at that pickup by Chris Moon on Kestrel. He was trying to escape, trying to do some damage at the same time, and just wasn't able to do that. And that was basically solely due to Arbe. Now, one way that Ted can counter that, though, and I do want to point out, is his stun on his Stimpack activation.
That is absolutely right. Stun on Stimpack activation is going to provide you with a pulse of stun that is going to stun nearby enemies, cancelling out all abilities that is charged up, excluding, of course, the pre-charged ones such as Clunks Explode and so on. But it is going to stop the Frog Nado, which is the most important one. However, you gotta be careful because it is also going to trigger, for instance, the tweeters on Frog. So if you're low on HP and you want to get rid of that Frog, please make sure that those tweeters are not on there, because you could end up just killing yourself by activating that last 400 burst.
And we're actually going to see Kelvin and Chris Moon go in and pick up the kill on Vader Heck right there, as well as take the first turret of the game 15 minutes in. It's quite late for a first turret.
Yeah, especially on Ribbit. And I would actually have guessed that SWAT was going to pick up that first turret. Thinking about the fact that they do have a Ted, and Ted usually equals fast turret destruction.
But we're now seeing the 700 spike dive come out and a bunch of scoop upgrades. The speedometer upgrade, the speedometer build that we have quote-unquote coined. And Shell is going to be taking a lot of damage right here, and we do see that Stimpack activation, the, explode or stun. That's my English for a second. Kelvin and Chris Moon looking for the kill on Shell, but unable to pick it up. But we do see that coming out on Ted now, and that's going to be a way to kind of thwart off Chris Moon from the clutches of Arbe.
Oh, yes. Arbe is also going to provide an excellent way of destroying those solar bosses.
It's a very quick way to pick them up, actually. And I'm glad that he got that. Chris Moon going straight into the fray right there, as a lot of damage is being dealt right now. Kestrel is going to be forced to get back, and Shaw looking for the snipe, unable to make anything of it. And we've seen a kind of shift, actually, occur here, where the ninjas with attitude have retaken mid control and have gone up in kills by 1.
Oh yes, and they actually I am going to come out here on a limb and say that due to Arbe that they are now progressing, they can now cancel out both Ray's auto attack, Coco's ball, and you know the entirety of Ted McPain's skill set. So they are really in a good spot of doing damage without taking damage themselves. If they can get that frog in and use him as a shield for all bullet damage, they are going to be able to progress in very quickly, as well as do a bunch of turret damage.
And we're going to actually see Chris Moon. He's going to be starting these engagements a lot by just diving into a turret and activating his Arbe. It'll reflect that turret, and it'll also create a kind of opening for him to body block anybody trying to escape.
You're absolutely right. You don't... This all comes down to how much damage can you do without taking any yourself. And that is something Arbe does exceptionally well.
And we saw right there, he's just turret diving a lot right now. It's going to create setups for his team as Kelvin is going to get hit with an airstrike into that midsection, just try to clear up those top droids. And he's actually gotten double dive. Well, quote unquote, not double dive, but the double spikes. And
yeah,
he's going to be looking for the vertical dashes right now. So for those who don't know what the vertical dash is, tell us a little bit about that, Nada.
Alright, vertical dash is a way to stack up the two different dashes that is the dead seahorse head. When you dash a spike dive from where you dash is going to appear doing 20% of your full damage. Now, that damage, you can stack that on top of your original dash by dashing a 0 distance, thus making the start and the end point the same. And that's going to allow you to stack up that damage. If you aim it right, you can of course hit both of these spike dives by dashing the same direction as your enemy is moving, but getting the vertical dash in is a much safer and much more reliable way of landing that full damage, and that's going to provide...
And there we saw right there as Kelvin's looking up for the pickup kill on the hit Fader Heck there, as Shaw's going to retreat on bottom, but while we were discussing that strategy, the 2 turrets on Ninjas with Attitude came down as Kelvin's going to be able to pick up on a kill on Kestrel right there, and we're going to see on bottom right now that engagement going on. But we did see the huge vertical dive come out there into that midsection a few seconds ago that basically set up that kill for the Ninjas with Attitude. They were able, Kelvin was able to just vertical dive the second that Coco and Penny got up the rift, and jumper, and were able to easily pick up a kill from that single setup. And we're going to see Chris Moon dive into the turret again, do a huge chunk of damage on Shaw, and Shaw's going to be forced to go back, look for a snipe, but unfortunately nothing coming out of it. The second stage of DOT on the airstrike coming out for Ted McPain. And an interesting build coming out on Kelvin right here, as we're seeing the invisibility activation.
Oh, I like that. I like that. Really, that is such an underestimated and underrated upgrade.
And here we go, a huge battle going on right now. Shaw's going to get picked up by Jess in the process. Vader Heck is going to actually pick up Kelvin with a ball snipe up the jumper.
Well, that was pretty good. However, it was a DOT kill. Nonetheless, it was impressive, and I do agree that was pretty good. That was really good. Those 1-for-1s are super important, especially now that we are entering the later stages of the game.
That's right. I haven't even noticed we've been in this match for
19
minutes and 45 seconds. But we've seen these teams kind of really hone in on their builds, and Kestrel is going to be taking some damage right now as he's going to be forced to get away from that bottom turret. Chris Moon and Jess, we've seen the Frog, we've seen the Scoop, we've seen it on other teams before. One huge team that we've seen it on is Team Boom, and we know their Frog, we know how he plays, we know the Scoop on Team Boom, and I think that Chris Moon and Jess have done an excellent job on reiterating how powerful that composition is.
Oh yeah, the whole Scoop Frog comp is really effective, just because of how, oh man.
And you can see it right there. They're going in for Fader Heck, and he's going to get picked up very quickly. It's just such a quick burst coming out from both of them.
It's secure burst. That's where I want to go, because when you land that hammer, Frog is going to be able to just land that dash, get the full hammer pants, get those ninja worms in, and land all his ticks on NATO. It is just going to give him such an advantage, and it's going to be so easy for him. to land all these things, and that's why it's so good. You're guaranteed a lot of damage by doing so.
And look at the damage that they can deal. That is going to be another kill on Shaw, picked up from the hammer, the spike dive, and the dash on Frog right in front of the turret. We're going to see shock gloves come out on Coco now. I think that's an interesting upgrade to pick up at this point in the game.
Especially because Frog has Arbe. That is something that is important to note, that the particles will get reflected by Arbe. So opting for more just not flash damage, I'm sorry, flat damage on the AA would maybe have been a better choice, especially to counteract that Frog. But then again, you don't usually want to go hand on hand with a Frog that has his abilities off cooldown and ready to go. But I don't know, it's a good upgrade, but I'm not sure if it's right.
Look at this burst that we're going to see come out again, and that invisibility cloud is just setting these kills up. Put an airstrike on bottom, coming out from Kestrel is going to pick up Kelvin on the exchange up there. But as I was pointing out, that invisibility cloud is setting up a lot of these kills. He'll activate the invisibility cloud, allow his entire team to progress forward, and try and pick up a kill in the meantime. Shaw is going to narrowly avoid that hammer by Jess. We're going to see Vaderhead coming in for a pickup on there, but Chris Moon very close by, thwarting them off, kind of saying, I'll zone you out the second that you push in onto Jess. And here we go. The hammer, the Frog, coming out again. The snipe, nice snipe coming out from Shaw on there, hitting a huge 750 on Chris Moon. And we're going to see these teams reset right now and try and pick up a kill in the process.
Yeah, I'd say that right now the SWATs,
and actually Shaw is taking a lot of damage right now as the entirety of Team Ninjas with Attitude are looking to pick up that kill on him, and they've focused out this Raylan a lot in this match. Kestrel's taking a lot of damage. He's going to be forced to get back into that bottom lane right there, and Kelvin just going back to clearing up top. But that is a 3-droid push up top, and if they can get that to a turret, that's going to be a lot of damage.
That, you know, the turret damage is something that is actually vital to at least SWAT's game, because right now, obviously, the Ninjas with Attitude, they are in the lead, and if SWAT wants to get back in the game, they need to focus up that.
And actually, a pickup on Kestrel on bottom as we're going to see Federic look to pick something up in the process. Nothing coming out of it. The ball is going to hit Jess on the exchange right there as Chris Moon is looking to pick something up. And Calvin looking to set something up right now. And they are going to set something up. And a huge double kill coming out. They are going to be taking this bottom turret right now. That is going to be a team wipe. This is a very late stage in the game for a team wipe as Ninjas with Attitude are going to be looking to pick up this bottom turret. But Calvin has kind of laid down the setups for these kills with that invisibility cloud. He's really progressed with his entire team, and they're actually going to be looking to do some core damage right now before they actually respawn. This is going to be a lot of core damage. I don't know if they can kind of fight this off. We're going to see Kestrel coming in right now. We're going to see him try to do something, anything, but he is actually doing more damage to his base instead of helping, and he is actually going to end the game. That is going to be the first game of the day. Ninjas with Attitude taking victory over SWAT. Let's talk about this game and talk about these upgrades, because this is the first time that I've seen Invisibility Cloud, and it has just reaped havoc.
It did, and it did that, and there's a specific reason for it, because with a Frog, you can stack up so much damage, and Vinny and Frog has sort of the same deployment mechanism of damage. You dash in, and as soon as the target hits, the damage is applied. And when you can combine 2 knots damage and you remove the factor of predictability from the enemy, you just take them by surprise. There is no way you can outmaneuver an instant. We're talking in the 1,700s of damage with the dash, the hammer pants, the NATO. You know, they have the stun. You land that nice 940 dash from Vinny as well. So just so much damage, and we're not looking at very tanky notes, and there's only Ray actually picking up those pills. And I think due to the low HP nature of the characters that were on SWAT, that's why this combo worked so well. You got this insta high burst, and you're aiming at, all right, we're gonna go in invis, and it's not gonna matter how we're gonna get out, because they will be dead before we have to escape. And that's sort of that is the whole mentality of this engagement. And on top of that, you can have Scoop as a distractant. You know, throwing hammers, you're distracting that. There's a distraction there. Going hammers, you land that hammer. That's a go sign to deploy that invis cloud. and then just go ahead and just release the full fury of ninjas with attitude.
They had a very strong engagement and were able to pick up a lot of kills due to those setups. That being said, before we go on to our break, we are going to be doing our first giveaway of the day. It is going to be a Twitter giveaway, and all you have to do is keep an eye out for a tweet coming out from Ronimo Games. Be sure you follow them, and be sure you retweet whatever they are tweeting out, and you will be entered yourself to win yourself a Robo-Scoop. That being said, we are going to take our first break of the day and come back with our second game, which is going to be Boss
Drum
taking
roll.
on 99 cents. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.